The English dictionary defines teenagehood as the period of time when a person transitions from childhood to adulthood, also known as the adolescent years. Thank you. It's also defined as the period of time of rapid physical, emotional, and intellectual growth. When I was first given the opportunity to speak here today, I thought a lot about the theme of unspoken truths. My mind was exploding with these ideas ranging from politics to literature to social etiquette. I eventually landed on this topic of teenagehood because I think it's something I really know deeply and personally and could maybe even elaborate on as an expert. The way I see it, teenagehood can be characterized by a sort of wave. Not the type you would use to say hello and goodbye with, no. The type of wave of that of a big body of water. Only in this case, its movements are not dictated by the moon's gravity, but by time and people and hormones. In other words, being a teenager has its ups and downs. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of a teenager? Certainly in my case, and I'm sure this applies to many of you as well, I immediately imagine a moody, brooding character who sulks and whines and snaps at anyone who so much as blinks in their general direction. I think of some entitled and superficial kid who thinks that the world somehow owes them something. You know what I mean? Like, walking past a group of teenagers is like the societal equivalent of walking into a lion's den, or like a snake pit in the ladies' case. It's not even anyone's fault that you would think this way. I mean, society has fed this information to you and you're just forced to believe it, even though it may completely stray from the truth. It doesn't help that society also looks at you as if you've done something wrong without even giving you the benefit of the doubt or putting themselves in your shoes. Teenagers are generally considered very rebellious, right? They're considered very destructive, frustrating, and so we're always receiving distasteful or scathing looks, and we're just always met with a frown. This puts a lot of pressure on a teenager who's experiencing all of this psychological affliction, and at the same time they're also experiencing huge physical transformations. I have been on this earth for 16 years. That's barely a decade and a half. And at this point in my life, lately I've been feeling like not myself. And I was pleased to discover that a lot of people shared this sentiment. I realized that being teenagers are, simply put, just kids in adults' bodies, right? We're just children playing grown-ups in this twisted and long play of life. Growing up, you realize that the friendships and the relationships you build as a teenager are just so different from when you're a child. As a child, you look for laughter, shared interests, comfort. But as a teenager, you start to develop in terms of maturity. And now, you seek a sense of humor that calls to you rather than just laughter. A complementary personality to your own rather than just shared interests. Stability rather than just comfort. At some point along the way, the biggest problems in your lives changed. Now, this shift, it happened so quickly and so quietly that I'm sure no one noticed, but it did happen. I myself have experienced this quite recently, and so will try my best to describe it. In one single moment in time, this applies to everyone and anyone, perspective on the world adjusted slightly. And now, playing with your Barbies and painting on the walls, it doesn't seem so important anymore. Impending exams, its resultant grades, and starting your life suddenly take priority. It's ironic, I mean, everyone always says that life truly starts after you graduate high school. Like, Everything that happened before didn't matter or shape them one bit. But at that time, you can well and truly tell that it mattered the most. So what am I trying to say? What is the point of this speech? What is the unspoken truth? Well, the unspoken truth of the matter is that teenagehood is the most critical time in any person's life, but it's not really spoken about. It's not really given the credit that it should be, because society views the adolescent period as though it's just the way of life. Like, oh, it's just supposed to happen, I've been through it, everyone's been through it, it's fine. We're dismissed, even though at the end of the day, teenagers are experiencing tremendous changes, and it's so hard and difficult, especially if you're going through it for the first time. We as teenagers, we go through a lot of tough moments, not only physical. Forget the physical aspects of it. Focusing only on psychological issues alone, there's the big problem of identity crisis. Because 1 minute you're a child and you're being treated as a child, and the next minute you're an adult, almost expected to have everything sorted out and as an adult would overnight. Gives you a huge identity crisis. Because you never were and likely never will be given the chance to fully explore yourself and the others around you, and to commit to exactly who you want to carry yourself as. After all, this is the time where your individuality as a person is being formed. You are identifying yourself for the next step in your life, which is adulthood. Suddenly, expectations are extremely and sometimes even impossibly high. Juggling home life as well as school is suddenly unattainable, and the guilt and shame one is driven to feel for their incompetence is just a feeling no one should ever have to face alone. Besides parents at home pestering you about chores and taking care of siblings, there's also the pressure from the academic point of view. All these expectations regarding going to college, applying to colleges are put on you by your parents and teachers, and that's just a huge challenge in itself. According to science, the frontal lobe controls thinking, movement, and emotional regulation, among other things. Without it, your body would exist in a vegetative state, and life would be rendered meaningless. It's the part of the brain which decides who you are. As the frontal lobe is developing, not only is it getting bigger in size, but it's also building more and more connections between its neurons and the rest of the brain, being the last lobe to fully do so. So why is this important? Its importance lies in the fact that for teenagers, immature frontal lobes affect their ability to comprehend and understand risks, heighten susceptibilities to drugs and any other type of addiction, and could even launch them into a full-scale depression as a result of hormonal imbalances. So while we may look like we're rolling our eyes, like we're frustrated and annoyed and just want to be left alone, it may only be because we're just so used to being dismissed, used to being lonely all the time. I don't want to seem like most of what I said so far are just complaints and sentimentalities. I would also like to point out that there are, of course, positive things about being a teenager these days. It seems to us that teenagehood not only entails frustrations and confusions, but also exciting new challenges. We're so full of hope for what lies ahead. It's just with a side of constant worry and fear. We, although awkwardly, discover new meaning in our social identities and a complete new meaning and understanding in friendships and what friendships are and what are going to be in the future. It seems to me that here and now, we're making friends for the rest of our lives, and we're investing in our relationships from a brand new perspective, an adult perspective. We also view our relationships with our parents from a completely different point of view. I guess it's kind of nice to sort of be on the same page as them sometimes now. Like, we can talk to them about grown-up stuff, like we're no longer babies. There's also the utterly new and exciting journey coming up for us, which is going to college or university. While this brings immense pressure and stress, we can feel the excitement in our veins. We can feel the impending responsibility of becoming a college student. And it's both terrifying and thrilling in the best way. When I was preparing for my speech today, I stumbled upon this online resource called Big Think, where industry leaders, the big thinkers, if you will, share insight into certain topics that they're experts on. Here, an adolescent medicine specialist wrote a very interesting article titled 5 Harmful Myths and 5 Inspiring Truths About Teenagers. He says that society views teenagers as if they're a problem to be solved, but the truth is that we have to prepare them to solve our problems. It's time we change the narrative. He then highlights the 5 myths, saying that 1, we don't care about what adults think and we're uninterested in what our parents think, say, or do. 2, we don't care much about what we learn. We'd much rather have fun with our friends. 3, we're overly sensitive and it's hard to talk sense into us. 4, we think we're invincible and are wired for risk. 5, we're self-centered and selfish. He goes on to say that while these are mostly myths about teenagers, the unspoken truth about them is completely different. In actuality, teenagers do care deeply about their parents and would like their involvement in their lives. Constantly striving for their approval and looking up to them as their role models. Teenagers are also super learners. Adolescence is a period of time of rapid and astounding brain development, as I've mentioned before. We learn more during this time than any time following in our lives. Teens can also be just as thoughtful as adults. The only problem is we're dominated by their emotional centers, and this can lead to us being perceived as more emotionally unstable. But when given enough time and if pushed in the right direction, teens do their best thinking once calmed down a bit. Teens are also natural explorers. This means that their desire to take risks and try new things is essential in them gaining new knowledge and learning from them. Lastly, teens are idealists who see what's wrong in the world and just want to fix it. I agree with this doctor on many levels, because especially when he says that we need to unlearn these biases. Because without these biases, I think we would truly understand the unspoken truth about teenagers, which I think can be summarized by 3 words: idealism, hope, and future. This may sound too elevated, but isn't it better to nurture these values and be optimistic about teenagers creating a better world in the future? Considering all of this, we, as teenagers, we're asking, pleading for some more support, more understanding, and most importantly, some more patience while we battle with this whirlwind of memories, regrets, failures, as well as successes that come with this confusing period. After all, it is the time to make or break us. Thank you.